Shiny new object. Early Christmas morning, as the youth sprang from their beds, they ran downstairs in a hurry to open up all the new gifts and to play with all the new objects. The youth played with all the new objects every day until they became old and broken. Youths past the point of no repair. Being spoiled youth, they demanded new shiny objects to play with, but their parents could not afford them, for they had already spent their savings and put themselves in debt. As these youth grew up and put themselves and their parents into debt, so they could attend higher learning institutions where they are taught by professors that every day can be like Christmas, where they will receive free college, housing, health care, even free spending cash. Instead of these gifts coming from their parents, it will be freely given by communistic plutocrats. Today's youth are taught this philosophy from kindergarten through higher learning institutions, thus becoming expectant of all these promises. This propagandized idea has been taught through all levels of learning. Stalin says, quote, "Ideas are more powerful than guns. We will not let our enemies have guns. Why should we let them have ideas?" End quote. Take this philosophy and pair it with the removal of God from learning institutions on all levels, and you have the makings of a potential communistic generation. Quote, "The devil is on my side. He is a good communist," end quote, said Stalin. This was also recognized by Lenin when he said, quote, "Atheism is the natural and inseparable part of communism," end quote. To make this Christmas dream seem even more believable, the communists have indoctrinated the youth to believe Santa is real in the form of communism. But the youth better do as ordered. The "oh, better be good for goodness sake," except it is not Santa watching, but the plutocratic communist. Pierre-Joseph Proudhon, a French anarchist, said, quote, "Communism is a society where each one works according to his abilities and gets according to his needs," end quote. As in the case of Santa, it is revealed that he is merely a fantasy character to help control the children, as is communism is a fantasy utopia in the attempts to control the masses. Alexis de Tocqueville says, "It's not an endlessly expanding list of rights, the rights to education, to right to health care, the right to food and housing. That's not freedom. That's dependency. Those aren't rights. Those are the rations of slavery," end quote. Like the gift-giving part of Christmas has become bigger than life through generations, so has the delusional dream of communism. The participants of this dream have been carefully molded, shaped, and formed, where now the dream has evolved into a pseudo-religion, controlled by handlers in the learning institutions and through local government programs that force a do-as-I-say, not-as-I-do reality by these political leaders. H.L. Mencken says, quote, "The trouble with communism is the communists, just as the trouble with Christianity is the Christians. They really do not believe in it, and hence hypocrites. All of them pant for money and hope to collar it by changing the rules. Thus fundamental false pretense colors their whole propaganda," end quote. As previously discussed, these communist leaders have to get rid of all the middle class. This even includes the hypnotized youth's parents, thus self-appointing the communist leaders as the youth's parents. And what youth doesn't love parents that will freely give you everything only for your vote in exchange? And once in power, these freely giving communists will stay. Mary Trimmer says it best, quote, "The principle of communism is the enrichment of the idle at the expense of the provident. It is plunder legalized," end quote. Being a pseudo-religion, communism has developed blind followers that defend it even to the point of violence through their army Antifa, even though all the things they have and enjoy are not from communism. But as in a cult, they believe in a system created by hypocritical leaders. Albert Einstein noticed this and says, quote, "One strength of the communists of the East is that it has some of the character of a religion and inspires the emotion of a religion," end quote. Just like the shiny new objects these youth receive at Christmas, communism becomes old and broken past the point of no repair. And when this generation of youth call upon their communistic plutocratic parents for more, these parents will say, "We are in debt," just like all their other communist fantasy lands around the world, like Cuba and Venezuela, that have become communist wastelands, and now even the state of California. Quote, When everything belongs to everyone, no one will take care of anything. End quote. Andrew Guide. As a youth or a parent of a youth, it is upon you to research this fantastic lie called communism. Do as one of the greatest defenders of freedom against communism says, quote, "How do you tell a communist? Well, it's someone who reads Marx and Lenin. And how do you tell an anti-communist? It's someone who understands Marx and Lenin." End quote. Ronald Reagan, 40th President of the United States of America.